right, Jim, our next question sent. What an ending there. Our next question sent via the Cult of Cornette Facebook group was sent by Jay in West Virginia. I know wrestling at its best is suspension of disbelief, but what is the logic of the crisscross? Two guys just suddenly start running. Even as a kid, I thought it was silly. Help me understand.
Well, back in the pioneer days, when they went across the Great Prairie in the covered wagons, Buddy Rogers is credited with inventing a lot of this stuff. And I think Buddy, when I go back and look at some of the older footage of a lot of people, he was a great accumulator. He accumulated shit that he saw and was able to put it together in order and in what came to be known in modern fashion as high spots. He called it sequencing, where there was different sequences put together building up to a climactic payoff in the ring. But the crisscrossing and hitting the ropes and etc. has, like everything else does, after a while, when the people in the business and the fans who watch the business, when the novelty of something wears off and it becomes more commonplace, the people who start performing it and the people who start watching it alike tend to start taking it for granted, and they recognize the motion without understanding the underlying reason behind it. So originally, when this all was a working idea with the ropes and the television era, some of it was even before that, but when it began, if you ran and hit the ropes and came back at a guy, you were trying to run and get more momentum to really bowl him over with a tackle or some kind of thing. But like in a defensive manner, when you had a headlock on somebody and they threw you into the ropes, you were off balance, and the only thing that stopped you from being thrown further was the ropes. But then those ropes, because of the spring, you would bounce back in the other direction, and the guy was waiting on you with a punch. But then there's the drop down. Let's say that you've got a headlock on the guy, but the guy throws you into the ropes, but because you've had the headlock on him, he's disoriented. And he doesn't realize where he is, and he sees you coming back off the ropes at him, and he drops down to either evade your charge or to try to trip you. But you see that it just in the nick of time, and you jump over him so he doesn't trip you. But then you're off balance and you continue running until the ropes stop you. Rogers was an example, the best known, but there were of guys that could do this like they were out of control and it was really happening in real time, where you lurched toward the ropes fast and off balance. And when you bounced back, you could tell by the look and their expression, their body language, they weren't in control of themselves. When the guy dropped down, oh shit, they almost tripped. But later on, as this just became done over time more and more, and by more unqualified performers, it became, let's see how smooth we can hit the ropes and how effortless we can make this look, and how, we'll just start hitting the ropes and running and dropping down and jumping over each other. And it loses an element of the spontaneity that it comes when guys look like they're out of control and they're reacting to the other guy's movement to try to avoid them instead of cooperating with them. Have you ever heard that explanation before, Brian, or am I just droning on at the mouth?
What you are saying, it makes perfect sense, but I've never heard anyone explain it because I've never heard anyone really ask that question before.
Well, that's what it's like everything else. The stuff that started out in wrestling looking primitive and like it was done very spontaneously on a spur of the moment, the guy just had the idea. As it's been more polished and a lot of these moves made safer, because some of this shit back in the old days, these fucking guys, no wonder they were tough. That shit hurt on those fucking rings and the bumps they were taking. So as everything, it was smoothed out and polished up and etc., it became smoother and more performative. So now fans that don't understand, like the guy that asked this question, don't understand why are they just hitting the ropes until somebody does something? That's what it theoretically started out to be.